Just 4 years ago, Texas had 352 wineries. Now it's home to 547.
According to the National Association of American Wineries, the Lone Star State's wine industry brought more than $13 billion to the state's economy just 4 years ago in 2017. It's created 60,000 jobs.
Wow. Well, the industry has only grown since then. So tonight, KVUE's Hank Cavanero is diving into the world of Texas wine.
Most people believe that wine is a living organism, and it is.
Just about everywhere in the world has their contribution to the world of wine.
Central Texas, or Texas in general, has become a wine kind of powerhouse. I mean, you can come out here for a week and not hit every spot.
I really want to make wines that are reflective of this ranch, of this soil, of this place.
Everybody says, well, what do Texas wines taste like? What part of Texas?
This ranch out in Driftwood. It's a good place to start a journey into Central Texas wines.
I actually had a vineyard before I had a winery, obviously.
This is Gary Elliott.
A vineyard, I started working on the vineyard about 1998.
He owns Driftwood Estates Winery, a winery that is one of the oldest in the region, but Gary knows the history of Texas wines goes much deeper.
Everybody says, you know, they can't understand why Texas has wineries, you know, because everybody thinks California or Washington, Oregon, New York. But they say one of the first vineyards ever planted in the country was in El Paso, and that was by the Spanish missionaries in the 1600s.
Fast forward to now. The industry has grown dramatically over just the past 2 decades.
When I started out, there were probably 35 wineries in the whole state. Now there's probably between 400 and 500. It's just exploded.
So how does someone start a winery in a region that wasn't known for it?
You know, you can't just start out 100% Texas grapes, especially back when I started, because there weren't Texas grapes available. So you find a lot of the wineries are getting grapes from California. For some people, that's fine because they were buying California wine at HEB anyway.
But now he gets all Texas grapes, most of which he grows right here.
Vines die. You can see from the size of the trunks, they're old vines. You want to get real Texas wine made with Texas grapes. There are a number of wineries now that do 100% Texas grapes in the wines.
But not every winery grows its own grapes.
So we officially opened the tasting room in July of 2010.
Nate Pruitt owns Bell Springs Winery in Dripping Springs.
Yeah, 11 years.
A winery that gets their grapes from other places, originally California, where Nate grew up.
You know, I grew up on the Central Coast. Saw that growth. There was about 13 wineries or so when I was in high school.
Then when he moved to Texas, he realized it could be done here.
They're starting to realize that we're a powerhouse. We're somebody that is making great wine, and we have a really good experience and lots of really unique geography, especially out in the hill country here, for different wine settings.
But for some, it's the connection to the land the grapes are from that truly makes their wines special.
Vines are like people, and wines are like people, and some do better than others.
Lewis Dixon is a former lawyer turned natural wine maker.
That's 21 years. That's a thick trunk.
This is a vineyard and winery he started on his ranch on the outskirts of New Braunfels.
I've been making wine since 2001 here in Texas, but basically a natural wine has nothing added to it and nothing taken out. We don't add yeast. We rely on the native wild yeast to do spontaneous fermentations. I'm not saying necessarily that produces a better wine. I let people contemplate that, but it's the most pure rendition of a wine that you can find. These are all black Spanish. It doesn't interest me just to make a good wine, no matter how good it might be. If the wine is not a teacher, if it doesn't show you something unique, then I don't have that much interest in it particularly.
That interest means he only makes 400 to 500 cases of wine a year, solely dependent on how his grapes are.
But this is fortified with a little brandy. And
A winery that does things differently.
world's tiniest winery.
A connection to the land he's on.
Behold.
And it's a connection he hopes others in Texas start to make.
I would like to see Texas become more multi-regional. I would like to see East Texas. I would like for people to experiment and find out what they can do with reasonable dependability.
Growth in a state that's growing in the wide world of wine.
I get to make the wine I want to make.
You know, wine is one of those things a lot of people like to go and try different regions, whether it be California, New York, Washington, Oregon. Our wines can hold up to pretty much any state.
Well, you know, in other words, everybody always says, well, what's your favorite wine? Well, all of them, actually.
And so I like that communal experience with wine.
In the Texas wine country, I'm Hank Cavanero.